So let's talk about one of those moral questions that just feels, well, impossible. It's a scenario that puts you between a rock and a hard place. But by digging into it, we can actually uncover some really powerful philosophical tools. Tools that help us figure out not just what we should do, but why we believe what we do in the first place. All right, let's get into it. Okay, let's just jump right into the deep end. Picture this. A murderer is literally at your door. They're hunting for your friend who, by the way, is hiding in your house. And they ask you, straight up, is your friend in there? I mean, your gut reaction is to lie, right? Of course it is. You gotta protect your friend. Seems like the only moral choice you could possibly make. But is it really that simple? Well, according to the legendary philosopher Immanuel Kant, not only is it not that simple, but lying would be a crime. Yeah, you heard that right. He says that telling a lie, even to a murderer, even to save your friend's life, is morally wrong. It's a totally shocking and frankly counterintuitive idea. Why on earth would one of the greatest thinkers in history argue that you have a duty to tell a murderer the truth? That's the puzzle we're going to try and solve today. So, to get why Kant would say something so wild, we have to kind of rewire our brains. We have to stop thinking about the consequences, saving your friend, and start thinking about the principle. We need to deconstruct his idea of what it means to have an absolute duty to be honest. And right here, this is the key to the whole thing. This is Kant's absolute core principle for all of morality. It's a bit of a mouthful, but what it really boils down to is this. You can never, ever use another person as a mere tool to get what you want. Every single person is an end in themselves. They're a rational being with their own life and goals, and you have to respect that, always.
So what's the difference between using someone as a means versus a mere means? Well, look, we use people as a means all the time, and it's totally fine. When you go to a bank, the teller is a means for you to cash your check, and you're a means for them to do their job. You both consent to it, no problem. But using someone as a mere means, that's different. That's when you use deception or force. You're basically roping them into a plan that they cannot possibly agree to because you're hiding the truth from them.
And that brings us right back to the murderer at the door. When you lie to them, you are treating them as a mere means. You are using them. You're manipulating them to achieve your goal, which is saving your friend. By lying, you take away their ability to make a rational choice based on the truth. Now, for Kant, this is a huge deal. It doesn't matter that their intentions are evil. By lying, you have violated their humanity. You've committed an unjust act. Now, Kant's whole argument is built on our ability to make these rational choices. But hang on, that opens up an even bigger, deeper question. In a universe that's governed by the laws of physics, by cause and effect, are we actually free to choose anything at all? This is where another philosopher, David Lewis, comes into the picture. He dives into this idea called soft determinism. It's basically an attempt to have our cake and eat it too, to believe in free will and accept that every event is caused by what came before it. The question is, can you really be free if the future is, in a way, already written?
So Lewis draws this really fine but super important line. The strong thesis says you are able to literally break a law of nature, like deciding to float out of your chair. Yeah, right, not gonna happen. But the weak thesis is much more clever. It says you are able to do something different, like not raising your hand when you just did. Now, if you had done that, it wouldn't mean you broke a law of physics. It would just mean that the entire history of the universe was already set up to make you not raise your hand. It's a way of saying I could have chosen differently without needing superpowers.
Okay, well, we've gone from Kant's strict rules all the way to the nature of free will. That's a lot to take in. So let's take a step back and try to organize all of this with a practical framework for how we even think about the word responsibility.
When we say someone is responsible, we can actually mean 4 different things. First up, there's moral agency. That's just the basic ability to be held responsible at all. Then there's retrospective responsibility, which is looking backward to assign praise or blame for something that happened. Then you've got prospective responsibility. That's all about your duties looking forward. And finally, there's responsibility as a virtue, like being a dependable kind of person.
So how does this little map help us with our murder problem? Well, let's connect the dots. The whole dilemma is a clash between 2 prospective duties. Tell the truth and protect your friend. That gut feeling we all have that Kant is just wrong, that's us using retrospective responsibility to judge him. And that whole complicated debate about free will, that's questioning the very idea of moral agency. Oh, and the fact that we're even wrestling with this, that shows we have the virtue of responsibility. See? When you lay it out like that, the whole messy problem starts to make a lot more sense. So, after all this, where have we landed? Well, the point of this whole journey isn't to walk away with one simple, correct answer. It's to walk away with something way more valuable, a better framework for thinking, a way to stop looking for easy answers and start asking much better questions. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. The murderer's at your door. Has your perspective shifted at all? Maybe you still think, yeah, I'm gonna lie, 100%, and that's fine. But now you can see the deep moral principle that you're choosing to break. You're not just going with your gut anymore. You're actually making a complex moral calculation. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? The goal of this kind of philosophical workout isn't to be given a cheat sheet with all the right answers. It's to understand the rationale, the structure of reasons behind whatever you choose to do. It's no accident that the word rationale comes from the Latin for being endowed with reason. Philosophy gives us the tools to inspect that reason, to make it stronger, and to really truly own the choices we make. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. This whole thing, the debate between Kant's logic and our own gut feelings, it all comes down to one massive question. When is a principle more important than a consequence? When is never lie more important than save a life? There is no easy answer, but simply asking that question, well, that's what makes us rational, responsible people in the first place.